Hi, my name is Shelby, and today we're going to be talking about human sexuality, specifically sexology and what sexologists do. We're also going to be dabbling into human reproductive anatomy in females and males, as well as describe each stage of Masters and Johnson's sexual response in both males and females. Now, to get started, we are going to start off with what is sexology and what do sexologists do. To break down each word, sexology is basically the study of sex that goes from physical sexual encounters to mentally of how arousal works and how it works inside your brain. Now, in order to study sex, you have to study it objectively. Whenever I say this, it means there is no personal bias, there's no feelings and emotions going towards what you are studying. All it is you are studying sex from a scientific standpoint. There's no morality in it, and there is no bias at all that goes into play. You're using your equipment and your experiments purposely for the scientific answer. How do sexologists do this? Well, Curiosity, Why is Sex Fun, that is on Discovery Channel, showcased a way of how sperm goes through the vagina by a doctor putting non-lethal radioactive sperm through a vagina and have the girl orgasm and see how it flows compared to a non-orgasmic female. Also adding on to this, they are connected to neural waves that can help perceive when the woman is having an orgasm, and by doing this they check spots and changes inside the brain that occur. Now, if we were to go into a more worldwide perspective of attractions and stuff, you would have to use things as test studies. You could use case studies, naturalistic observation, random sample, correlations, and experiments, different types of things that help answer questions of why is this attractive, what finds more attractive, and how does the orgasm correlate with the attractiveness of another. Looking at other things, especially used in physical, a scientific method is definitely used. Now, a lot of times with these implications, physical and mentally, you have things as case studies, which one takes a more in-depth look at one individual. Or naturalistic observation, which goes into the name really. All you're doing is watching someone in the natural habitat, basically. You're watching it from a natural standpoint. There's no interference in this entire project. And there's random sample, which is really good whenever it comes to questionnaires and stuff like that. There is no bias in it. The base of it is everyone has an equal opportunity to be selected to answer questions from a target group. Correlations is something that's kind of tricky. It can predict the possibility of a cause and effect, but cannot prove that there's a cause and effect. You can only say that there's a correlation between them, but not sure if A causes B. And then there's experiments, something we all know because we go through biology, we go through science class. It's there, we do experiments, and we know what they are. Basically, to sum it up, you have an experimental group, one that is going to get messed with, and then we have the control group, the one that stays the same. Just like when converting it to medicine, you have a placebo group, and then we have the people that are going to get drugs and experience the effect of the drugs that are going to be recorded. If you'd like to find out more about this, John and Hank Green did a great job on doing their crash course and doing psychological research on all these experiments, and you can go learn more there. Moving along to human anatomy, specifically female anatomy. So we're going to start with the internal structures. Beautiful picture here off of Google. You can Google it anytime if you need a structure reference. Obviously it looks like an alien, but there's a purpose to every single structure that is here. Starting off, we have the labia, which is more commonly prominent on the outside of the vagina. Next we have the vagina. Obviously it looks like a canal that leads to the primary reproductive organs. Starting with the cervix and the endometrium that covers the uterus, which is also known as the womb for a baby. Next we go into the fallopian tube, the ovarium, which is the egg, that is used for reproduction, will flow through, as well as sperm try to get to the egg through there. Next we have the ovaries, which, as you guessed it, are the pockets and sacs, as you can say, that carry the eggs that are needed for reproduction. Fun enough, they are actually composed of immature, not fully developed, but they will be developed, and mature eggs. Alrighty, moving on to the external features of the woman's vagina. First, as you can see, this big part right here is the mons pubis. We also have the labia major and then the labia minora. As I told you before, this is the most prominent feature on the woman's vagina on the external part. Moving on to the clitoris, which is a very highly sensitive area and can be the cause for most orgasms. Then we have the urethral opening and then, of course, the vagina. Now, right around here, on the vagina's edges right here would be the hymen. Moving on now to the male's anatomy. The male's anatomy is a little more complicated than the female's anatomy. As you can see right here, we have so much on here, but there's only some specific points that we're going to look at. Specifically, we have the bladder here, the pubic bone, of course the penis. We have the foreskin, which I know not everyone has foreskin. Foreskin is something that can be taken off due to religious beliefs. We of course have the urethral opening, and then we have the testes, and then we have the seminiferous tubules, the scrotum, which is all together right here. We also have the prostate gland, which of course is right here. And then we have the most known, which is the ejaculatory duct, which will be right here. And then we have the seminal vesicle. All of these areas work together to either help a male urinate, produce sperm, develop sperm, or ejaculate, as you can see. Before we get on to describing each stage of Masters and Johnson's sexual response in males and females, I'd like you to know that every picture, every website that I've pulled from will be down in the link below, also at the end of this video, in case you wanted to check up more on it or read more about it. Now, let's get into these stages. Now first, let me describe what a sexual response cycle is. The sequence of changes and patterns that take place in the body during sexual arousal. And Masters and Johnson's created 4 phases into the cycle, which identifies the significant stages of responses as excitement, plateau, orgasm, and resolution. Starting off with excitement. Physical and or psychological stimulation which produces characteristic physical changes. In men, this can be seen as increased blood flow to the genitalia, producing erection of the penis. The men's scrotal skin begins to smooth out, and remembering that scrotum is right here. It's the external feature where the skin starts to smooth, and the testicles in the male draw up towards the body. Later in this phase, the testes begin to increase in size by a slight bit. Now in women, vaginal lubrication begins, and the upper vagina expands, as well as the uterus being pulled upward, as well as the clitoris becomes engorged. Now in both men and female, they experience their breasts being enlarged slightly, and their nipples may become erect, and both experience muscular contractions. Next, we have the plateau, where the sexual tension levels off. In men, this means the testes swell and continue to elevate. And now the head of the penis begins to swell slightly and may deepen in color. In women, the outer third of the vagina begins to swell and lubrication may start to slow down. As before, the labia right here, so swelling and deepening in color start to occur in these areas. The third step of Masters and Johnson's sexual arousal would be orgasm. This is when increased tension peaks and discharges affecting the entire body. Starting in women, rhythmic muscle contractions affect the uterus and outer vagina. In men, it's a little more complicated for the orgasm step. There are contractions of the glands and tubes that carry semen, the prostate gland, and the urethral bulb, resulting in expulsion of semen. In other words, ejaculation occurs. Then we have resolution, the body returning to its unaroused state. However, in some women, this does not occur until the woman has had multiple or repeated orgasms. For the Masters and Johnson's stages of sexual arousal, this will be found in the book Human Sexuality, Diversity in Contemporary America. And then this is going to be by William L. Yarber and then Barbara W. Syed, and it's the 9th edition. These are going to be found on pages 89 and 91. And with that, I'm going to thank you guys for watching and paying attention. I hope you guys found this very informative, and I hope you now understand what sexology is, the study of sex, what sexologists do, a little bit about human anatomy and physiology, as well as the stages of Johnson's and Master's sexual arousal. Thank you so much, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Bye.